For years, Ford and General Motors have been at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution. With GM's ambitious plans to roll out up to 400,000 EVs by 2024, the future looked electrifying. But hold on to your seats, because that plan is about to take a U-turn that nobody saw coming. Both automotive giants have decided to drop their grand EV plans for good. Now, we know this might sound shocking, and you're probably wondering, what on earth happened? Well, the reason behind this decision is going to leave you in disbelief, since it has even the government involved. It's a twist that no one expected from these motor manufacturing titans. Before we uncover the recent bombshell from Ford and GM, let's take a moment to appreciate their rich history. Ford, a pioneer in the automotive industry, revolutionized transportation with the introduction of the Model T in 1908. Henry Ford's assembly line innovation brought cars to the masses, changing the way we move and live. Fast forward to the 21st century, and Ford continued to evolve, embracing electric vehicles like the Mustang Mach-E and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. On the other side, General Motors, affectionately known as GM, has its own storied history. From the iconic Chevrolet Corvette to the innovative Chevrolet Volt, GM has been a driving force in shaping the automotive landscape. GM has consistently adapted to changing times, exploring various technologies to stay at the forefront of innovation. The Chevy Bolt was a significant step in their electric journey, capturing attention with its range and affordability. Now let's bring it back to the present. Both companies have been making strides in the electric vehicle market, with Ford's commitment to its electric vision and GM's ambitious plans for an all-electric future. But just when we thought the road was paved for electric dominance, Ford and GM surprised everyone by deciding to shift gears away from their grand electric plans. The reason behind this sudden change is as unexpected as it gets. General Motors is dialing down its electric vehicle EV game, and they're pointing fingers at the demand, or rather, the lack of it. Picture this. During their recent earnings call, GM spilled the beans that they're ditching their plan to churn out a whopping 400,000 EVs between 2022 and mid-2024. Why? Well, they're waving the flag of profitability. In Q3 2023, they revved up EV production by 40% from Q2, pumping out around 32,000 of those electric beauties. And guess what? They're planning to rev the engines even more in Q4 2023 and beyond. But hold up, they're blaming the slowdown on demand for this whole pivot. Still, GM's not tapping out. They're eyeing a goal to churn out 1 million EVs every year in North America by the end of 2025. But is that really the right decision? Now here's the real talk. GM and Ford are both taking a chill pill on their EV plans. Why, you ask? Well, they're feeling the soft breeze of lower demand, the heat from competitors turning up, and the prices taking a nosedive. Just last week, GM spilled the beans that they're hitting the snooze button on electric truck production, pushing the start date from 2024 to fashionably late 2025 at their Orion assembly plant in Michigan. Talk about a detour on the electric highway. The only reason why the demand could even fall is well pretty much due to the price of buying an EV in the first place. A gas-powered Chevy Blazer would normally cost the average American $37,000, whereas the EV version would cost them $56,000. Guess one would have to cancel their holiday plans if they decided to pay the extra $19,000. Let's see what the Ford CEO Jim Farley has to say on this matter. Ford CEO Jim Farley is awake and has a fighting chance of Ford surviving the transition to EV. Production needs to ramp up, but Ford will sell every F-150 it can make. Bold of him to say they would even sell every F-150 produced. GM's Mary Barra, however, believes they have 14 years to make the transition, so they don't need to rush. Sorry Mary, you don't have 14 years. Move that slowly, and GM will fail spectacularly. In reality, the race started 12 years ago, and some of the runners are still on the start line. In March 2023, Ford had released financials for its 3 subsidiaries, and it's not pretty. Now we know the numbers for their EV business broken out from their total business. In 2022, Ford made an EBIT loss per vehicle of $22,000. We didn't read that right. They made a loss of $22,000 on every vehicle sold. That is one way to blow your mind. We knew they were making a loss, but not that big. In contrast, Tesla made an EBIT profit of $12,000 per vehicle in 2022, which is $34,000 more than Ford. This is how far behind legacy autos are. Ford plans to break even on EVs by the end of 2026, so every EV they sell for the next 3 years will be at a loss. GM doesn't wish to talk about their losses, so we won't bug them on that matter for now. But we can always discuss how GM withdrew its 2023 profit outlook and announced plans to slow the launch of several planned EV models to cut costs. CEO Mary Barra highlighted the need to reduce fixed costs by $2 billion net of depreciation and amortization, emphasizing the importance of protecting pricing, adjusting to slower near-term growth in demand, and implementing efficiency improvements to enhance profitability. These moves by major automakers reflect the complexities and uncertainties in the current landscape, with challenges ranging from customer preferences to global competition and the need for cost-cutting measures. The EV market is proving to be a dynamic and demanding arena, prompting strategic adjustments from industry leaders. But what has the government got to do with all of this? And more importantly, Biden's government has been at the forefront for ruining the entire motor industry single-handedly. Before we talk about Biden's role in this entire dilemma, let's take a walk and discuss the dealerships that have been begging Biden's administration to slow the EV transition. Alright, here's the lowdown. Over 3,800 car dealerships joined forces and fired off a letter to President Biden, basically telling him to hit the brakes on this Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) rule that's all about giving a boost to electric vehicle (EV) production. According to these dealers, EVs are like the unpopular kids at school. They're just not flying off the shelves. In fact, they claim that the demand for electric vehicles is lagging big time and they're drowning in a sea of battery-powered cars stacking up on their lots. So, what's the deal with this EPA proposal? Well, it's throwing down the gauntlet, saying automakers need to up their game and meet stricter emission standards starting in 2027. Translation: make more electric cars or hit the penalty box. It's like the EPA is the coach pushing the team to run faster. But the dealerships are on the sidelines saying, hold up, we're not selling these EVs like hotcakes. Talk about a showdown between the dealerships and the electric car agenda. Now comes the hard part, which is Biden's plan on the electric vehicle revolution. Biden's administration is proposing some bold moves to shift the US into an electric vehicle (EV) wonderland and put the brakes on the whole planet-heating auto pollution drama. But, and there's always a but, these big plans are facing a trio of challenges. Think economic, logistical, and legal roadblocks. The plans, outlined Wednesday by the Environmental Protection Agency, are designed to ensure that 2/3 of new passenger cars and 1/4 of new heavy trucks sold in the United States are all electric by 2032. If enacted as proposed, the regulations would mean a quantum leap for the auto industry in the United States, where just 5.8% of new cars and less than 2% of trucks sold last year were all electric. Let's break it down. We're talking about a massive change here. Imagine going from just 5.8% or a tiny 2% of cars and trucks being electric to a mind-blowing nearly 68%. That's like upgrading from a tricycle to a super-fast spaceship. But here's the catch. It's not going to be a breeze. We're not just talking about changing what's under the hood. We're talking about a total makeover of how we drive, fuel up, and think about cars. And here we thought this was the least of their worries. Higher labor costs have hit another blow to Ford and GM's dreams for an electric future. So, when Biden rolled up to Michigan in September, standing with the auto workers on strike, people were like, yeah, powerful move, Mr. President. He kinda put his thumbs on the scale, backing the United Auto Workers, UAW, in their fight for better pay. But here's the twist. While he was supporting the workers, he might have accidentally thrown a wrench into his climate policy plans. Fast forward to now, Ford and General Motors, GM, the big shots who shook hands with UAW to end the strike, are hitting the brakes on their electric vehicle, EV, dreams. Why? Well, turns out, the new deal with the union is making labor costs jump, and they're tightening their belts. And guess what's getting the squeeze? Yep, the EV production lines. Not shocking though, because EV sales haven't exactly been setting records. This new labor contract is digging into Ford's pockets, $8.8 billion by the time it wraps up in 2028. And get this, it's adding around $900 to the cost of each shiny new vehicle. CFO John Lawler is out here saying they'll find ways to cut costs and be more efficient. But here's the kicker. Ford is hitting pause on about $12 billion they were planning to drop on EV production. No battery facility in Kentucky, and Michigan's EV plant expansion delayed. Over at GM, it's a bit of deja vu. They're looking at $9.3 billion more in labor costs thanks to the UAW deal. And what's their game plan? Fully offsetting those extra costs. Translation: EV and self-driving car production are taking a hit. So, while Biden was playing the hero for auto workers, his climate goals might have taken an unintended detour. Looks like the road to a greener future just hit a speed bump. Here's the revamped outro with a focus on Ford and GM. With Ford and GM taking center stage, who could have predicted that a presidential show of solidarity would set off a chain reaction, influencing the future of electric cars? As the gears of these automotive giants shift and negotiations play out, we're left pondering the road ahead. Will the challenges faced by Ford and GM put a speed bump on the electric revolution, or are we gearing up for a temporary pit stop in their electrifying journey? Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below.